If you're an Aries, Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, Cancer, Gemini, don't lose a good man because of these 5 mistakes.
If another man is able to get close to your woman,
because the monkeys don't know that money can buy a lot of bananas.
I don't care what people say about me, because I know who I am.
If you offer work and business to people,
and that's when you
they will
realize
choose to work.
Feelings for
because
you, but is
most
also
people
jealous
don't
of
know
you.
that a business
To find
can
out
make
their
more money
But now I
than
fear
a
losing my
salary.
time. If I live
One
according
of
to
the
others'
reasons
opinions,
the
You don't
poor
need
are
anyone's
poor
validation to
is
feel
because
whole.
the poor are not
So don't
trained to
waste your-
recognize the
And I give
entrepreneurial
respect to
opportunity.
those who deserve it.
They
Leave
spend a
that
lot
part
of
in
time
red,
in school,
activate the blessing,
and what
and
they
send it to
learn
the
in
first person
school
who appears.
is to
And she
work
no
for
longer
a
cares what
salary
happens.
instead of
A
working for
woman does not
themselves.
make feel.
Profit
I wasn't
is
looking
better
for a
than
fight.
wages
I
because
was looking
wages
for
can
undiscipline,
support you.
not to defend
But
yourself
profits
or
can
fix
make you a
things,
fortune.
just to hear.
comes back later
If you
saying
don't
she
learn
misses
to
what you
recognize
had.
opportunities,
Just remember,
you will continue
silent
to
when you
choose
win.
the safe path
Be careful.
rather than the
Jealousy
profitable
where-
one.
Make it make sense.
Don't forget
They'll
to
say-
follow us.
I don't think you
Emotional
understand
support.
how much I truly care
4.
about you.
They're
Yeah,
jealous.
I'm annoying, I'm
Correction and
stupid, I make
directions
dumb
from you.
decisions sometimes.
She is an arrogant.
But that's because how you make me feel.
That's your
okay?
sign.
Not
You
talking
are
to you makes it feel like
I
it's
gave
the
my
end of
heart to
world,
those who
okay?
didn't deserve
But
it.
that's because I'm clean.
is
That's
how
the type
your
of guy I
luck will
am.
treat you.
And not every guy is like that. Some just don't give a fuck what you're doing. They don't give a fuck if you don't talk to them. They don't give a fuck
What you
if
need to
text
understand
them.
is,
all they give a fuck
you
is,
don't
hey,
chase someone
they're my
who-
girl,
you
and I
disappear.
claim them.
not
But
because
I'm
you're
not
weak,
like that.
but pick you up
I
to the
wish
good
I could
things you
truly
never
show
paid
you the
attention to.
genuine care
No matter
and
how
love that
nice-
I
Even if
have
they
for
haven't
you.
said it out loud,
I want to
they're
make you feel like
considering
the
you for
most
something
important
huge.
girl
Willing to
in
wait
my
as
world.
long as it took until
Like
she
no
could
other
call
girl
you
competes
hers.
with you.
If
you
Because, baby
stay,
girl, you got my
It's
attention.
because there's something
But
important
there's
you
no
need to
way
hear.
that I could truly
Finally here,
show you
chosen
that.
one.
Show
No
you
need to
what
rush
I'm
off.
seeing in you, what I'm
universe-
feeling about
Qualities
you.
that you possess,
Maybe one
and
day,
she doesn't.
just one day,
Right.
I'll be able to
Encouragement,
show
your
you
love,
how
your
important
kindness, your peace,
Just one
your
day.
clarity,
Someone
your
is
strength,
planning
and
to
your wisdom.
apologize to
happiness
you.
is on its
Since
way.
this morning, they've been
If you
gathering the
believe in this
courage to send you an
revelation,
apology message. However, they are still hesitant and worried,
Until it's
so they haven't
convenient
sent
for
it
you.
yet.
You say
Stay
you
until
love
the
me, but
end
all I
to
see is
discover
odds.
who it
the
is.
person who appears will bring you a lot of luck, but that's not all.
Click the heart
She
and the
is
plus
close,
sign on my photo for
and
luck
I'm
this
going to
month.
reveal to you
This
the
person realizes their mistakes
let
and has
another
been
human
holding their
treat me like
phone
an
with the
option.
message ready to
Even when
send.
it's hard, he's
Despite their doubts, their desire to reach out to you remains strong. Please use this audio privately
on the
and
list
reply
shares
yes
the
to
same
confirm
initial
if they have mentioned you to
as the
someone.
person who
If you're
Curious
watching
part.
this video now, they
Click
will
on the
miss
red
you
cross
deeply.
below my photo so
Within the
you're
next 12
58.
hours, they will
Please
send you
enter
heartfelt
58 in the
messages,
comments.
pleading for
Let's
your
not be
forgiveness and
susceptible.
asking to come
That
back
pollutes
into
a
your life.
relationship.
Do not
Peace
reach out
and
to them
healing.
first.
And if there's
They have
anything I can
obstacles
do
to
make amends,
overcome before
don't
they
expect
return
me
to you.
So,
But their love
if
for
you're in
you
my life,
is unwavering, and they are determined to conquer these challenges. I am sharing this video today on insert current date.
So he
Remember,
plays games
karma
with her
is
so
real.
no one else can
If
have
you do
her.
nothing, they may lose hope
Friendship
and
in
move
this
on.
day and age is on the
Want
lips
to
of
know who
many,
this person is?
but in
Press the share button. The second contact that appears is the person who wants to apologize and return to
Your
you.
life will change.
I wish you abundant blessings.
envy your success.
I don't understand our relationship.
Very
Sometimes
secure
we're
man.
friends,
Trust
sometimes
me.
we're more.
Careful
And sometimes
if you
I'm just a
ignore this
stranger to
video.
you.
Bad
One minute you
news
treat
will
me
ruin-
like I'm special, and the next you act like I don't matter. One day you give me lots of attention, and the next day you ignore me. Don't play with
The
my
true
feelings
measure of a
because you're
person's
unsure about yours.
worth isn't
It's confusing how our connection changes all the time, and leaving me uncertain.
roommates. And finally, number 7, which is the most important for me.
to show some love for
I'm
this
willing
video.
to be a
I
friend,
appreciate it.
something more,
Now let's get
or
started.
step back as a stranger. But the ups and downs are too much.
You believe
I
it,
deserve clarity
and
and
you
respect.
will be very happy.
If you're
Now,
unsure about us,
listen.
please talk to me
This
openly.
is your prophecy.
It's better than leaving
And
me
this
guessing
man
and
you
feeling
love
like an
doesn't
option.
come from your enemy,
I won't be a pawn in a
but
game
it comes
of
from those
uncertainty.
close.
Let's either define what we are or go our separate ways.
You hit the plus and
My
use
heart
the sound
deserves
right
more
now
than this
to
constant
claim.
back and forth between closeness and distance.
Is that the only
There
person
are
I need to
5
impress
dangerous
is myself.
women you must avoid.
I'm not
I shall
living my
explain. Number 1, a woman surrounded by many men whom she
Distant
calls her
asshole.
friends.
Stop
She's
fucking
a
with my
cheat and a
feelings just because you
pathological
can't
liar.
Business, and would you please
Those
hold on
men
the
are
line
your
to take a small
replacement.
survey?
Avoid her.
with you or set
Number
you up for
2,
something she knows
a
you'll
woman
fall
who wants
for
you for your
in
money
order
and
to
brings you no value.
everything straight.
She's a financial vampire and
Number 3,
parasite.
roommates.
She'll
And
ruin
finally,
you.
number 7,
Avoid
which
her.
is the most important for me.
Number 3, a woman who doesn't take instructions,
It's the silence,
correction,
the
and
fading
directions
effort,
from you.
the moments where one
She is
person
an arrogant and business to
avoid
people. They will choose to work an angry, bitter,
love that isn't
unhappy
built on
woman who
illusions or
gives you no
manipulation.
peace.
If you ignore
Avoid
her,
her.
the
Number
universe will
5,
double
a
at
woman
some
who
point.
constantly
Smile,
disrespects you.
not just
She
because
doesn't
it's
belong
beautiful,
in your life.
but because it
Walk away
heals.
from her.
I don't chase after
If you're
it.
not following me,
I focus
you
on
might
those
not
who
see
matter.
me again.
Given.
But if you
And
are,
I give respect
congratulations.
to those who
You're
deserve it.
growing every day.
Find light in your darkest moments and
I
never
don't
make
think you understand how much I truly care about you. Yeah, I'm annoying, I'm
Number
stupid,
1,
I make
a
dumb
woman
decisions
surrounded by
sometimes.
many men.
But
whom
that's
she
because how you make me feel. Okay?
If it is,
Not talking to you
Focus
makes
on
it feel
yourself
like it's the
and
end of my
focus
world.
on your
okay?
goals.
But that's because
Let
I'm
the-
clean. That's the type of guy I am. And not every guy is like that. Some just don't give a fuck what you're doing. They don't give a fuck if you don't talk to them. They don't give a fuck if you text
Start
them.
giving it to
All
yourself.
they give a fuck is, hey,
When you
they're my
focus on
girl
you.
Number
and
3,
I claim them.
a woman
But
who
I'm not
doesn't
like
take
that.
instructions.
They will
I
say
wish
you
I could
can't
truly
do
show
it.
you
They
the
will say
genuine
you are
care
not good
and love
enough.
that I
They
have
will.
for you.
Loyalty
I want to
is
make
rare.
you feel like the most
Promises
important
fade.
girl in my
Asking
world.
God for a sign,
like
for an
no
answer.
other girl
And guess
competes
what?
with you. Because
He
baby
heard-
girl,
Face
you
this
got my
together.
attention.
Talk it out.
But there's no way that I can
Find a way
truly
to-
show
Here's
you
the
that.
truth, gentlemen.
Show you what I'm
Being
seeing
handsome
in
doesn't
you,
keep a
what I'm
woman
feeling about you. Maybe one day, just one day, I'll be able to show you how important you are to me.
That person wants to hug and talk with
The
you.
richest man in
She's
China,
the one who
Jack
brightens
Ma,
your darkest
said,
days,
if you
bringing
put the
warmth.
bananas
Is he
and
faithful?
money in front of
Is
the
he rooted in
monkeys,
values?
the monkeys will
Wealth
choose
without glitter.
bananas, because the
Number
monkeys
4,
don't know that
don't
money
lose
can
a
buy
good
lot of
nouns or
bananas.
too much. I
In
deserve
fact,
clarity and
If you
respect.
offer work and
Welcome.
business to people,
It took strength
they
to
will
let
choose
go.
to work.
Not because I stopped
Because
feeling-
most
energy
people
doesn't
don't know
lie.
that a business
They've already
can make
slipped
more
up
money
once and you've-
than a salary. One of the reasons the poor are poor is because the poor are not trained to recognize
Because they know the value
entrepreneurial
of real love,
opportunity.
real
They
friendships.
spend a lot of
Show
time in
zero
school,
emotion,
and what they
acting
learn
tough
in
or
school
detached.
is to work
Times
for a
as needed,
salary
just to make
instead
sure
of
you're
working
okay.
for themselves.
Welcome.
Profit is better
took
than
strength to
wages
let go.
because wages
Not
can
because I
support
stopped-
you. But
Speaks
profits
ill of
can
you
make you a
behind your
fortune.
back.
If
Free.
you don't
We are
learn
not
to
allowed to yell at
recognize
each other.
opportunities,
We can disagree,
you will
but
continue
not
to
yet.
choose the
I never
safe
lost
path
feelings for you.
rather than the
I just
profitable
realized you
one.
didn't want me.
Don't
We
forget
can work
to
through
follow
whatever
us.
it is, but only
I don't
if we're
understand
open
our
with the
relationship.
Arrow to share
Sometimes
the
we're
sixth
friends,
person who
sometimes we're
appears.
more, and sometimes
Nothing
I'm
you
just
say
a
will change
stranger
her
to
mind,
you.
because
One
she
minute
already
you
left
treat
me.
me like I'm special,
She
and the
doesn't need a
next you
crowd
act like
to
I
feel
don't matter.
important.
One day
So
you
you're
give
not
me lots of
alone.
attention,
She's still with
and the
you,
next day
just
you
on the
ignore
other
me.
side.
Don't play with my feelings because you're
and
unsure
only
about
thinks
yours.
about having you about
It's confusing how our connection
want to
changes
know?
all the time, leaving
If
me
you want-
uncertain.
A place full of
I wish
light,
things were
peace,
consistent
and, love.
and stable
She's
between
calm.
us.
Let's fix this.
I'm willing to be a friend,
I
something
don't want to
more,
lose you.
or step
You'll be
back as a
moving,
stranger.
bestie.
But
Moving
the
to the
ups and
big house.
downs are too much. Faith. I deserve clarity
Walk in
and
truth.
respect. If
Keep
you're
your
unsure
heart
about
right.
us, please
Skip
talk to
this
me
video
openly.
if you love the devil.
It's better than
If you
leaving
love
me
Jesus,
guessing and
stay
feeling like
open.
an option.
But
I won't
if
be
you
a pawn
ignore
in a
this
game
video,
of uncertainty.
they'll move.
That you change.
Let's either define
But
what we
really,
are or go
she's
our
trying to
separate
just-
ways.
She will always want to text,
My heart
call,
deserves
or
more
see
than
you.
this constant back and forth between closeness
Number 7.
and distance.
She'll remember the little things.
Tired, confused, and
There is
drained. That's
someone
not what
lying
love
to
feels
you.
like.
And this
That's
lie
your
has
sign.
been going
You
on
do
for months.
what you say,
The
even how
worst
you
part
feel.
is that this
That's her
person has
love
no
language.
intention of telling you the truth
Number 3.
anytime soon.
If she sleeps
But do
before,
you
Cut
want
off
to
that
know
bad
the most
energy.
curious part?
Hit the heart and tap the red plus
Click
under
on the
my
red
picture
cross
to
below my
Here.
photo so
I'll
you
still
can find
be
out
here
who it
for you.
is.
I'll still
And
lend
now
you
do
my
the
show.
following.
Character
Click
is a
on the
trap.
heart.
Don't
then
be
on
the
the share
woman who
arrow,
leaves gold
and
to
look
check.
at
When a
who
girl
is the
loves
fifth
you, she will
person
be
on
so
your
attached
WhatsApp
to you.
list.
She'll always want to call
There
you.
is someone
Thanks for
lying to
watching.
you.
Stay
And this lie has
blessed.
been going on for months.
not because
The
she wants
worst
to
part
control
is
you,
that this person has
but
no
because she cares
intention of
about
telling
you.
you the truth
Peso que
anytime
cargas hace
soon.
tiempo, pum.
But do you want to know
Se
the
va.
most curious
Chase
part?
or tolerate half love.
Click on the red cross
So
below
yes,
my
I
photo
made a
so you
mistake.
can find out
Si
who it
dejas
is.
pasar este
And
video,
now do the
esa
following.
energía
Click
se
on the
rompe.
heart.
Hicimos este
Then
acto
on the share
profético.
arrow. And
Cientos de
look at who is
personas
the fifth
regresaron para
person on your WhatsApp list.
You're going to have serious problems with a woman who is betraying your trust and talking badly about you behind your back.
Find out who it is.
She seems close to
And
you.
now do the
and I'm going
following.
to reveal
Click
the
on-
first letter of her name in this video. Even though she shows affection towards
It's
you,
defensive
she's
and flips it
actually
on him,
envious and wants
making
you
him
to
feel
face
like he's the
difficulties.
problem.
To discover who she is and free yourself from her negative impact,
it's defensive
you
and
need
flips
to
it
tune
on him,
into the energy
making
of the
him
universe.
feel like he's the problem.
Click the
To
red
what
button
people
above
say
my photo
behind your
to
back.
make this connection.
A lion never
this woman
looks
is
back.
jealous of your
Let me make
kindness
one
and
thing clear.
generosity,
I don't care
qualities
how
you have
important
that
you
she
are to me.
lacks. She wants to see you in tough situations because she recognizes your bright aura. To break this bond of envy, type thanks in
Forgave
the
you
comments
even when you
so the
didn't
power
say
of the
sorry.
universe can free you
But
from her
that verdict
negative
for love.
influence.
I learned
now
to stop
I'm
fighting
going to
for
reveal
people
the
who didn't
initial
fight
of her
for me.
name.
Truth speaks
But
louder
first,
than
press the
promises.
heart until it turns
A man who
red.
truly cares
When you
with you
click
or
the green
set you
share
up for
button,
something she
the
knows
sixth
you'll
person on
fall
your
for
list has the
in
same
order-
initial as this woman who is betraying your trust. If you believe in the power
I'd
of the
probably
universe,
leave myself
show
too.
your trust by
But here I
typing
am,
thanks
trying
in the
about other
comments.
women in your life
You're going to
and
have
accepts
serious
everything with
problems
an
with a
it's
woman.
okay. Or they can talk about
Success
it,
is
but
not
they can't
about
stop what
never
God has
falling, but about rising every time you fall. Each time you get up, you grow stronger and closer to your goals. Remember, every setback is a setup for your comeback.
I trust that you're going.
I don't think you understand how much I truly care about you. Yeah, I'm annoying, I'm
Never let
stupid,
your
I
woman
make dumb
keep a male
decisions
best friend.
sometimes.
Save.
But that's because how you make me
this
feel.
video a lot.
Okay?
You'll
Not
make
talking
Jesus
to you
happy.
makes
And
it feel
before
like
this
it's
week
the
is
end of
out,
my world, okay? But that's because I'm clean. That's the type of guy I am. And not every guy is like that. Some just don't give a fuck what you're doing. They don't give a fuck if you don't talk to them. They don't give a fuck
woman
if you
who
text
wants you
them.
for your money
All they
and
give a
brings
fuck
you-
is, hey,
She's
they're my
family.
girl and
The
I
one who
claim
shows
them.
up,
But
stays
I'm not
late.
like that.
Don't value me.
I wish I could truly show you the genuine care and love that I have for you. I want to make you feel like the most important girl in my world. Like no other girl competes with you. Because baby girl, you got my attention.
Without
But there's no way that I could truly show you that. Show you what I'm seeing in you, what I'm feeling about you.
Join
Maybe
us on
one
our
day,
journey by following.
just
Here's
one
how
day,
you know
I'll be
this
able to show
message
you
is
how
meant for
important you are.
you. Tap the green.
But today,
Don't trust
you will be
anyone.
graced with a miracle. Give
Life
to this
is full
video
of
will
fake
be
people who
reciprocated.
pretend
I know
to
this
care.
because they are
But
the
when
a
you
woman
need
buying
them the
you
most,
gift means
they're
nothing.
nowhere to be found. That is hurt.
First,
but
follow
it
me
teaches
so we don't
you
lose
to
this
trust
connection.
yourself.
Of icon,
That keep
and your
your
sixth
heart
contact
safe.
has the same initial.
Don't
If you're thinking
trust
about
anyone.
giving it another go, go
Life
all in.
is full of
Let them
fake
know they're
people
worth
who
it.
pretend to care. But when you
and
need
offering
them
you
the
comfort.
most,
Or
they're
how many
nowhere
times
to
we
be
stop
found.
talking.
That is
You are
hurt.
still going to be
But
my
it
correctly.
teaches you to trust
Take
yourself.
someone special.
That keep
It takes
your
a
heart
patient
safe.
About you. He's starting
Careful.
to realize that
Take
he
a
made the
deep
mistake.
breath and check
Your
the
friends.
first contact that
Keep in
appears
mind
in
that
your
people
WhatsApp
have their
list.
own interests.
Because I have something to
You
tell
lose
you
my
about
trust.
this person.
People come
And
and go.
I'm sure you're
Don't have-
not
And what happens
expecting
in
it.
this case scenario
But first,
is you
click
end
on
up
my
losing
photo
together
and
and
tap
look forward
the plus
to all the adventures
keep
that
this
await us.
connection between
Is
us
the second
strong.
person you see when
Done
you use
that?
WhatsApp
Great.
to share this video.
Now let's go.
And as soon as the money is
Open
gone,
that first contact.
so is the respect.
Yes,
Count.
that one.
You must press the
Because
button
there's
below
one
my photo
important truth
and
you
right
need to hear
moment
about
to
this
strike
person.
and bring chaos into your
This
life.
person
You need to
really
And
loves
every
you.
twist and turn is
They
shaping
care
you into the
deeply
incredible.
about you.
To stay.
They want to be near you. They admire you.
Watching how they show
respect
up.
you.
In
And
the
they
world
would
when
do
there's nothing to...
anything just
can
to
truly
see you
have an
happy.
impact.
They don't
Tap
say
the
it
heart.
all the
fury
time,
has been intense,
but wherever
but
they
victory
are,
is certain.
whether at work,
Once you do this,
on the street,
protection will
or lying
surround
in
you,
bed,
and her evil
you're
intentions
constantly
right here in this
their
video.
thoughts.
Doubts?
So don't let
No
small
worries.
things create distance.
Tap the green button
This
in the corner of
person
the
is
screen
special,
to share the video.
and they're in
on
your
And why
life
people
for a
decide to walk
reason.
away.
Comment
I can't
love
shake the feeling
right
that if
here to honor that
Respecting
energy.
the
And I'll
relationship.
send a little blessing from the universe to strengthen your connection.
My sister posted a photo of me and my 6-year-old with the caption, "When mistakes raise mistakes." My whole family liked it and started mocking us. But my ex-husband didn't. He posted one thing, and within minutes, chaos erupted. Hey Reddit, my family decided to wage war because I said no to a loan request. They brought social media and lawyers. What happened next was absolute chaos. Here's what went down. Name's Amanda, 29 female. I was sorting through a week's worth of mail when my phone started lighting up like a slot machine. Constant buzzing, one ping after another. The kind of thing that makes your stomach drop before you even look. I picked up the phone and opened Facebook. The first thing I saw made me freeze. My sister had posted a photo of me and my 6-year-old son. We were sitting on the curb outside our house from maybe 2 weeks back. I looked exhausted because I was. Night shift at the distribution center, then straight into parent pickup, then homework and dinner and bedtime routines. My son was drawing with sidewalk chalk, making a rainbow. The caption, though, "When mistakes raise mistakes." I read it 5 times before my brain would process it. My full name tagged, my son's face clear as day. Public post. 300 people could see it. The comments were already stacking up. Someone from my old job wrote, "Yikes." My aunt dropped a, "Well, that's one way to put it." Then came the likes. My mother, my father, my cousin Caddy, Uncle Bill. All of them co-signing this public humiliation of me and my kid. This wasn't some random family drama moment. My sister's been the household mascot for bad decisions for years, and everyone treats it like a group project. She messes up, they excuse it. I set one boundary, I'm suddenly the villain. I've watched my parents cover her bills, smooth over her screw-ups, and act like accountability is abuse. Meanwhile, I'm the boring one with a job, a kid, and a schedule. So apparently, I'm the easiest target. Seeing them smash like on a post calling my son a mistake wasn't surprising. It was just them finally saying the quiet part out loud. My son was in the next room watching videos on his tablet, completely unaware. He was 6. He liked drawing and bad knock-knock jokes and watching cooking shows, even though he refused to eat vegetables. And my sister had just broadcast to everyone we knew that he was a mistake. I sat there holding that phone, reading every comment, watching the like count climb. Someone I didn't even know commented, "This is sad." Another person, one of my sister's friends, wrote, "The truth hurts sometimes." Caddy chimed in with something about how this is what happens when you burn bridges and expect help. That last one clicked everything into place. 3 weeks ago, my sister had asked me for money. $1,500 for a car, she said. Needed it to get to work. I'd told her no, not because I'm cruel, because the last time I'd lent her anything, I never saw it again. Worse than that, 6 months before, she'd stolen from me, walked into my house, went upstairs while I was making her lunch, and took my debit card from my bedroom drawer, pulled $600 out of my account. I only caught it when my card declined at the grocery store, and I checked my banking app in the parking lot. Same day she'd been at my place printing a resume. She'd sat at my kitchen table eating a sandwich I made while planning to rob me. I'd given her 3 days to come clean. She didn't. So I got the ATM camera footage from my bank, filed a police report, and reversed the transaction. The family lost their minds. Suddenly, I was heartless, vindictive. How could I do that to my own sister? Nobody cared that she'd committed fraud, and it wasn't like this was her only mess. She'd separated from her husband Lars 3 months before the theft, was already mid-divorce with a custody battle brewing over their 4-year-old son, and had been bouncing between jobs all year. But none of that mattered to our parents. She was still the victim in their eyes, and I was still the one expected to help clean up after her. This was payback. Public, cruel, calculated payback. And everyone was helping her do it. Everyone except one person. My almost ex-husband, Mateo. We'd been separated for 6 months. Divorce papers signed and filed, just waiting on the finalization date next month. We barely talked anymore. Logistics about our son, who'd pick him up when holiday schedules. That was it. He'd moved out in May, took his stuff in trash bags and boxes, and we'd just sort of dissolved into polite distance. But his name wasn't in those likes, wasn't in the comments. He'd seen it, I knew he had. We had mutual friends, shared connections, but he hadn't engaged. 10 minutes later, Mateo finally popped up, not in the comments, but with his own post. He screenshot my sister's caption, blurred our son's face, and wrote, "Dragging a kid online is trash. Also, if anyone's confused why Amanda said no to money, ask about the debit card stunt and the police report." Within minutes, the post got shared in the family group chat, and it imploded. Mom started calling Mateo nonstop. I screenshot the post. Every comment, the like list, everything. Just knew I needed documentation. Then I set my phone down and stared at the wall for a solid 10 minutes. That night, I got a text from Caddy. Long paragraph about how I needed to take responsibility for my actions, how I'd alienated everyone with my attitude, how my sister was just being honest about a difficult situation. I didn't respond, just screenshot it. Something in my gut said, keep everything. The post stayed up all night. By morning, it had 67 likes and 42 comments. Some people defending me, mostly strangers or distant acquaintances. But the core family, my actual relatives, they were all in on it, supporting it, enjoying it. I made my son breakfast, got him ready for school, dropped him off. Then I sat in my car in the parking lot and called Mateo. He answered on the third ring. You saw it? I said. Yeah. We sat in silence for a few seconds. I screenshot everything, I said. Don't know why. Just felt like I should. Good, he said. Keep doing that. He didn't tell me what to do, just validated my gut reaction and hung up. It was more support than I'd gotten from him in months, maybe years. I went home and started a document, typed out the timeline, when she'd asked for money, when I'd said no, the theft 6 months prior, the police report, the family's reaction, then this post. I added screenshots, organized them by date, put it all in a folder on my laptop labeled Records. People don't publicly humiliate you, and then just stop. My sister was angry. My family was backing her. They wanted a reaction, wanted me to apologize, grovel, admit I was wrong for daring to hold anyone accountable. I wasn't going to give them that. The post stayed up for 3 days. I didn't engage. Just watched the comments pile up. My sister kept adding to it, posting in the comments about how she'd tried to help me over the years, and this was the thanks she got. My mother chimed in about how I'd always been difficult. Caddy wrote a whole essay about family loyalty and how I'd never understood it. I saved all of it, every single word. On day 4, something shifted. A few people started pushing back. Someone I went to high school with commented that posting someone's kid like that was inappropriate, regardless of family drama. Another person pointed out that calling a child a mistake publicly was concerning. My sister deleted those comments within minutes, but I'd already grabbed screenshots. Then the post disappeared entirely, just vanished. I figured that was it. She'd gotten her petty revenge, realized it was backfiring, and backed off. I was wrong. 2 days later, I got home from work to find a door hanger from the Department of Social Services, Child Protective Services Division. It said they'd attempted contact and to call the number listed. There was also a voicemail on my phone from a social worker asking me to return her call. I stood there holding that door hanger feeling like I'd been punched. CPS. Someone had called CPS on me. I knew immediately who it was. Had to be my sister, or my mother, or both. This was escalation. I went inside and called the number back, scheduled an appointment for the next morning at 10. Then I tore through the house, checked for anything that could be used against me. Dishes in the sink, I washed them. Laundry in baskets, I folded it. My son's room was already clean because he was weirdly organized for a 6-year-old. I vacuumed, wiped down counters, made sure the fridge was stocked, changed the sheets, made the house look like something from a catalog. My phone buzzed. Text from a number I didn't recognize. Then I realized it was my sister's friend Priya, someone I'd met at a few family gatherings. The message was short. I'm sorry. She shouldn't have done this. She texted our group chat yesterday saying, watch how fast she loses her kid, and I thought you should know. I have 2 kids, and I couldn't stay quiet about this. I screenshot it immediately, sent it to myself via email for backup. Then I called Mateo. He showed up 20 minutes later. CPS, I said, showing him the door hanger and playing the voicemail on speaker. They're coming tomorrow at 10. He read it. Didn't look surprised. Just tired. What do you think they reported? I don't know. Whatever sounds convincing enough to get someone to show up. He walked through the house, taking it in. Everything was spotless now. He nodded slightly, like he was checking boxes in his head. You need to install a doorbell camera, he said. Tonight, before they come back. I don't have one. I do. It's in my truck. I'll put it up now. He spent the next hour installing a video doorbell, showing me how to use the app, making sure it captured the entire front porch. Then he sat with me at the kitchen table and we made a list. Every adult who'd been in the house in the last month, every doctor appointment my son had attended, his school attendance record, his last checkup dates, medications, none, allergies, none, emergency contacts, everything. You're going to be fine, he said, but you need to treat this like a legal proceeding. Don't get defensive. Don't trash your sister even if you want to. Just answer their questions and show them a stable home. I wanted to ask why he was helping me. We were getting divorced. This wasn't his problem anymore. But I didn't. Just nodded and added more information to the list. He stayed until almost midnight, helped me organize documents, find my son's immunization records, pull up proof of employment and rent payments. When he finally left, he stopped at the door. Call me after they leave tomorrow. Let me know how it goes. The social worker showed up at exactly 10 a.m. Woman in her 40s, tired eyes, carrying a tablet and a folder. I let her in immediately, offered coffee, kept my voice steady even though my hands were shaking. She asked to see the house. I showed her everything. Kitchen, living room, both bedrooms, bathroom. Can I ask what this is about? I said when we sat back down. She consulted her tablet. We received a report expressing concerns about the child's welfare, allegations of emotional abuse and possible neglect. Can you tell me specifics? The reporter claimed the child is frequently left alone, that there's conflict in the home, and that you've been posting concerning content about the child on social media. I almost laughed. I haven't posted anything about my son on social media in months, I said. But someone else did post about him recently. Would you like to see it? I pulled out my phone and showed her the screenshots. The original post, the caption, my sister's name right there at the top. Then I showed her the text from Priya. Watch how fast she loses her kid, sent the day before the CPS visit. The social worker's expression didn't change, but she took notes. Asked me to email her copies of everything. Then she asked to speak to my son. I called him in from his room. He sat on the couch looking confused. The social worker asked simple questions. 20 minutes later, she stood to leave, handed me her card. I'll need to make one more visit, probably next week, but preliminarily, I'm not seeing evidence of the allegations. Your home is appropriate, your son seems well-adjusted, and you've been cooperative. After she left, I sat on the couch and shook for 10 minutes. Then I called Mateo. It was my sister, I said. Had to be. The social worker said they got a report about me posting concerning content about my kid online. That's projection, he said. Your sister posted it, so she reported you for posting it. That's insane. That's desperate. He was right. My sister had gone nuclear because the original post hadn't destroyed me the way she wanted. So she'd escalated, tried to get my kid taken away. And when that didn't work, she'd probably escalate again. I printed out the screenshots and put them in a binder. Added the CPS business card, the social worker's notes, everything. Mateo was right. I needed to be ready. 3 days later, I got served with papers. Emergency guardianship filing. My parents were petitioning the court for temporary custody of my son, citing my inability to provide a safe and stable environment, and my documented pattern of instability. I sat in my car reading the paperwork and felt something shift. They were trying to take my kid. This wasn't family drama. This was war. I'd never hired a lawyer before. Didn't even know where to start. I Googled family law attorneys, read reviews, called 3 offices. The first 2 couldn't see me for weeks. The third had a cancellation the next day. Her name was Nora. Office in a strip mall between a tax place and a nail salon, but the reviews were solid. I showed up 15 minutes early with my binder and a legal pad covered in notes. She was younger than I expected, maybe late 30s, and she didn't waste time on small talk. I laid out everything. The Facebook post, the CPS report, the emergency guardianship filing, showed her my documentation, the timeline I'd built. She flipped through it all without expression. Then she looked up. This is good work, she said. You've got dated evidence, multiple sources, clear timeline. That puts you ahead. So I can fight this? Absolutely. Emergency guardianship requires proof of immediate danger. Your house is clean. Your kid is healthy. CPS hasn't substantiated anything. Your parents don't have a case. But we need to be thorough. She charged $200 an hour with a $1,500 retainer. I paid it with money I'd been saving for a new transmission. Priorities shift fast when someone's trying to take your kid. She gave me homework. Get statements from my son's teacher and pediatrician. Nora had me sign release forms so the school and pediatrician could talk directly to her if needed. I emailed my son's teacher the same afternoon, and she printed a short note on school letterhead the next day. The pediatrician's office was slower, but they gave me a stamped visit summary and a letter confirming he was up to date on checkups. Compile more evidence of my sister's harassment. Document every interaction with my family from here on out. They're going to paint you as unstable, she said. So we show the court the opposite. Steady job, stable housing, involved parent. Then we show them who's actually unstable. Mateo met me at a diner near my work that night. I'd texted him about the guardianship filing, and he'd responded immediately asking to meet. He showed up with a notebook and that same calm energy he'd had the night before the CPS visit. I've been thinking about this, he said, before I'd even ordered. Your sister's escalating because the first attempt didn't work. That means she's going to keep trying until something sticks, or until she gets shut down hard enough that she has to stop. Nora said the same thing. Nora's your lawyer? I nodded. He looked relieved. Good. You need representation. But you also need more documentation. He pulled out his phone and showed me a spreadsheet. He'd made a timeline. Every incident with my sister going back 2 years. The money requests. The theft. The police report. The Facebook post. Everything. How did you have time to do this? He shrugged. I remember most of it. I was there for some of it. The rest I pulled from your texts and old emails you'd forwarded me. We'd been separated, divorce papers signed, but here he was. "Why are you helping me?" I asked. He was quiet for a while. "Because I should have helped you before," he said. "When your family was treating you like garbage, I stayed quiet, thought it wasn't my place to get involved. And because that's my son too. I'm not letting your parents take him because your sister's having a meltdown." The hearing was set for 2 weeks out. Nora filed a response opposing the emergency guardianship, but until then, nothing changed. My son stayed with me. My parents didn't have temporary custody, but the threat hung there like a storm cloud. I took photos of the house daily, time-stamped and dated. I logged every meal I made, every homework session, every bedtime. I got a statement from my son's teacher saying he was a well-adjusted, happy child who came to school clean and prepared. His pediatrician wrote a letter confirming he was healthy, up to date on checkups, and showed no signs of neglect. Mateo installed more cameras, one on the back door, one in the driveway. Not because I thought my parents would try to grab my son, but because I wanted footage of everything. Every time they showed up uninvited, I'd have proof. They showed up 4 days before the hearing, both of them, pulled into my driveway at 7 p.m. while I was making dinner. The doorbell camera caught everything. I didn't answer. Just watched through my phone as they rang the bell 6 times, knocked, called my name. My mother pressed her face to the window trying to see inside. My son was upstairs doing homework. Didn't even know they were there. After 10 minutes, they left. I saved the footage and sent it to Nora. She called me an hour later. "That's good. We can use that for the harassment claim." "What harassment claim?" "The one we're filing next week," she said. "After we beat this guardianship thing, we're going after a no-contact order and possibly sanctions for filing a frivolous emergency petition." Mateo started coming over most evenings, just to help organize. We built what Nora called a good parent binder. Everything in one place. School records, medical records, work schedule showing steady employment, rent receipts, utility bills all paid on time, character references from neighbors and co-workers. It was 3 inches thick by the time we finished. The night before the hearing, I couldn't sleep. Lay in bed running through worst-case scenarios. What if the judge sided with my parents? What if they found some technicality? What if my sister showed up and lied under oath and the judge believed her? At 2 a.m., Mateo texted me, "You're going to be fine. They have nothing." I didn't ask how he knew I was awake. Just texted back, "Thanks," and tried to breathe. The courthouse was smaller than I expected. Nora met me in the hallway, looking calm in a navy suit. "Your parents are here," she said, "with their attorney. Your sister's not here, which is interesting." "Why is that interesting?" "Because she's the one driving this. If she was confident, she'd show. Her absence says a lot." We walked into the courtroom. My parents sat on the other side with a lawyer I didn't recognize. My mother looked stern. My father looked uncomfortable. Neither of them made eye contact with me. The judge reviewed the paperwork for what felt like forever before looking up. She asked everyone to state their names for the record, then reminded my parents' attorney this was an emergency petition, not a custody trial. When he tried to talk in circles, she cut him off and asked for actual evidence. Dates, incidents, anything concrete. My parents' lawyer stood. He made his case, claimed I was unstable, pointed to the CPS report as evidence of concerns, said my parents were worried about their grandson's welfare in my care. Nora objected twice. Once when he tried to characterize the CPS visit without actually having the report. Once when he implied I had a history of mental health issues with zero evidence. Then it was our turn. Nora stood and destroyed them. She submitted the CPS report showing the case was closed as unfounded, submitted statements from my son's teacher and pediatrician, my employment records showing steady work history, photos of my home, documentation of my son's routine, proof of paid bills and stable housing. Then she played the doorbell camera footage of my parents showing up uninvited and persistent contact despite no response. Submitted screenshots of the Facebook post with the judge's permission. Pointed out that the person who posted it, my sister, was notably absent from these proceedings, despite being the one who apparently expressed concerns to my parents. "This isn't a case about child welfare," Nora said. "This is a family dispute being weaponized through the court system. The child in question is healthy, happy, well cared for, and in a stable home. This filing is retaliatory." My parents' lawyer tried to push back, said the CPS report existing at all was concerning, regardless of outcome. Nora countered that false reports made in bad faith are actually evidence of harassment, not legitimate concern. The judge took off her glasses and looked directly at my parents. "I'm not seeing an emergency. I'm seeing a child who's attending school regularly, receiving medical care, living in appropriate housing with his mother, who has no history of neglect or abuse. The CPS case was closed as unfounded. I'm denying this petition. My mother started to speak. The judge held up a hand. I'm not finished. I'm also noting for the record that filing emergency petitions without evidence wastes court resources and can be sanctioned. I'm warning counsel that any future filings of this nature will be scrutinized heavily. She banged her gavel. The whole thing took 45 minutes. My parents tried to approach me in the hallway. Nora stepped between us. No contact with my client, she said firmly. Any further communication goes through me. We left them standing there. My mother looked furious. My father looked defeated. I felt nothing, just tired. In the parking lot, I called Mateo, told him the judge had denied the petition. He was quiet for a second, then I heard him exhale. I'm proud of you, he said. We hadn't talked like that in years. Maybe ever. I sat in my car and cried for 5 minutes before driving home. Nora filed for a civil harassment restraining order the next day, named my sister, my parents, and Caddy. The petition was detailed, listed every incident. This is going to take about 3 weeks to get a hearing date, she said. In the meantime, if they contact you, save it. If they show up, record it. If they try to use intermediaries, document that too. They didn't contact me directly, but they tried other ways. I also gave my supervisor a heads up that my family might show up again. I didn't dump the whole story. Just said there was an active court.
My husband wanted my sister to be his wife for a day. His brother wanted me for life. My husband Damien had this way of dropping bombs like he was asking me to pass the salt. We were eating dinner, pasta I'd made after a 12-hour day at the firm because Damien said he was too tired to cook even though he'd been home since 3. I was twirling spaghetti around my fork when he said, "So my 10-year reunion is next month and I need Nikki to come with me." I kept chewing because I assumed I'd misheard him. Nikki was my younger sister, prettier than me by conventional standards, thinner than me by 15 pounds, and unemployed by choice for the last 2 years because she was finding herself on my dime. I paid her rent. I paid her car insurance. I paid for the highlights she got every 6 weeks because she said dark roots made her feel less confident. I didn't realize I was also paying for her to attend my husband's high school reunion too. I swallowed my pasta and said, "Why would Nikki be coming to your reunion?" Damien didn't even look up from his phone. "Because I need her there," he said. Like that explained everything. I set my fork down and waited for him to elaborate because surely there was more to this sentence. There wasn't. He just kept scrolling through whatever app had his attention more than I did. "Damien," I said, and he finally looked up with that expression he always wore when I was about to inconvenience him with questions. "Why do you need my sister at your high school reunion instead of your actual wife?" He sighed like I was being exhausting, like I was the one who'd just said something insane over pasta. "Because I told everyone I married her," he said. "Back when we first started dating. My buddies met her once at that barbecue and they assumed she was my girlfriend. I never corrected them. I stared at him. I kept staring at him. I was waiting for the part where he laughed and said he was kidding, where this became some weird joke I didn't find funny but could at least categorize as humor. That part never came. "You told your friends you married my sister," I repeated slowly, making sure I understood the words coming out of his mouth. "It's not a big deal," he said, picking his fork back up like we were done discussing this. It was easier than explaining. "And honestly, babe, you know how those guys are. They're shallow. If they remember Nikki being hot and they've spent 10 years thinking I locked that down. I can't show up with someone different and explain that actually I married the other one. The other one. I'd graduated top of my class at law school. I'd made partner at 33. I'd bought us this house, the cars in our driveway, and every piece of furniture Damien was currently sitting on. And I was the other one. I could feel something cold spreading through my chest, but I kept my voice steady because that's what I did. I stayed calm. I was reasonable. I didn't make scenes. "So your solution," I said, "is to bring my sister as your fake wife to a reunion full of people I'll never meet. And I'm supposed to just be okay with that?" Damien reached across the table and grabbed my hand like he was comforting me through my own confusion. "It's one night," he said, squeezing my fingers. "Nobody will ever know. These people don't matter. I'll make it up to you, I promise. We'll do a nice dinner after, just us. Whatever restaurant you want." He smiled at me with those blue eyes that used to make my stomach flip, and I realized something that should have been obvious years ago. He thought I was stupid. He thought I was so desperate to keep him happy that I'd agree to anything if he just promised me a nice dinner afterward. And the worst part? He was probably right. He'd been training me to accept less since the day we met. "I don't know, Damien," I said, and I watched his face change from charm to irritation in half a second. "It just feels weird. Why can't you just tell them the truth?" He pulled his hand back. "Because I've been lying for 10 years, Carissa. What am I supposed to say now? Hey guys, funny story, I actually married her boring older sister who works all the time." That's humiliating. Boring, older, works all the time. Each word landed like a small punch to the chest, but I didn't react because I never reacted. I just absorbed it and kept functioning. That was my role in this marriage. Provider, absorber, the other one. "Besides," Damien continued, "Nikki already said yes. She's excited about it. She said it sounds fun. I blinked. You already asked her? Before asking me? He shrugged. I needed to make sure she was available first. Logistics. My sister had agreed to pretend to be my husband's wife. My sister, who I'd been financially supporting for 2 years, who called me crying every month about how hard her life was, who I'd given everything to because that's what big sisters did. She'd said yes to this without even calling me first. Damien must have seen something in my face because his expression softened into that fake concern he was so good at. Babe, don't be upset. Nikki said you should be flattered that she's willing to help. She's doing this for us. For you, really. So I can network and maybe finally land something better than that cashier job you're always complaining about. I wasn't complaining about his cashier job. I was complaining about the fact that he'd had 4 cashier jobs in 3 years and quit each one because his managers didn't respect him. I was complaining about funding his life while he figured out what he wanted to be when he grew up at 34 years old. But somehow that had become me being unsupportive. Somehow everything always became my fault. One night, Damien said again, watching me carefully now, seeing just how much more he needed to push. Nobody gets hurt. And then we never talk about it again. Okay. I nodded. I agreed to let Nikki pretend to be Damien's wife for one night at his reunion. I told myself it was harmless, just an embarrassing lie he needed help covering up. But something about how quickly Nikki said yes kept nagging at me. How she already knew the date before I did. How comfortable Damien seemed asking his wife to step aside for her own sister. I decided I wasn't going to sit back and watch from the sidelines. I was going to insert myself right into their little rehearsals and see exactly how they acted when the wife they were replacing was standing in the room. I decided to help them rehearse because I wanted to see their faces when the wife they were pretending didn't exist, walked into the room and offered to participate. I wanted to watch them squirm. I wanted Nikki to look guilty and Damien to stumble over his words, and both of them to realize how insane this whole situation was. So I came home early from work the next day and found them in my living room going over their story, and I said, I figured I could help, give you feedback on what looks believable. They barely looked up. Damien said, sure, babe, and went right back to whatever Nikki was saying. I sat down in the chair across from them and waited for the awkwardness to settle in. It never did. They just kept going like I was part of the furniture in the house I paid for with money I earned while both of them contributed nothing. Okay, so when they ask how we met, Damien said, leaning toward Nikki with his elbows on his knees, I'll say I saw you across the room at a mutual friend's birthday party, and I knew right then I had to talk to you. I felt my whole body go rigid. That was how Damien and I met. I was standing by the window and he walked up and said I looked like I was plotting my escape, and I laughed and we talked for 3 hours, and he asked for my number before I left. Wait, I said, and they both glanced at me like I'd interrupted something important. That's our story. That's how you and I actually met. The night that started our entire relationship. Damien shrugged. Exactly. I already know it by heart, so I won't mess up the details. Makes it easier. You want to use the story of how you met your wife to pretend you married someone else? You don't see anything wrong with that? Not really. It's practical. I turned to Nikki. And you're okay with this? Pretending you had the night that I actually had? The night I've told you about a dozen times because I thought my sister would care about the most important moment of my life? Nikki examined her nails. I mean, it's not like you own a story, Carissa. Things happen to lots of people the same way. It's not that deep. It happened to me. Specifically. With him. Your brother-in-law. And now we're borrowing it for one night. You'll get it back. She said it like I was being stingy with a sweater. Damien turned back to Nikki like the conversation was over. So after the party, I texted you the next day and asked if you wanted to get coffee. And I said yes, but I made you wait 3 days before we actually went, Nikki said, smiling at him like this was a fond memory she actually had. Because I didn't want to seem too eager. That was exactly what I did. I made him wait because my roommate told me 3 days was the minimum for not looking desperate. Nikki knew this story because I told her years ago, late at night, when I thought I was sharing something precious with my little sister. And now she was reciting it back to my husband like it belonged to her. I told you that story in confidence, I said to Nikki, when we were close. When I thought you actually cared about my life. Damien let out a loud sigh and turned to face me fully. You know what this is really about? You're so used to being the boss at work that you can't let anyone else have anything without controlling it. Everything has to go through Carissa. Everything has to be approved by Carissa. We can't even have a conversation without you hovering over it like a manager. This isn't about control. This is about you giving away my memories. See, there you go again. Your memories, your story, your life. He shook his head. Not everything belongs to you just because you were present for it. I was there too. It's my story as much as yours, and I can tell it however I want. Nikki nodded. He has a point. You can't copyright a relationship. I tried a different approach. Okay, well, what about the proposal? What are you going to say when people ask about that? Rooftop restaurant downtown, Damien said without hesitation. I had the ring hidden in my jacket pocket all night, and I was so nervous I could barely eat. Then after dessert, I got down on one knee and the whole restaurant clapped. My engagement, my proposal. The happiest night of my life reduced to a script for my sister to memorize. That's literally what you did for me, I said, and my voice cracked in a way I hated. That's my proposal. I cried. You cried. The The waiter brought us free champagne. I called my mom from the restaurant because I couldn't wait to tell her. That memory is mine, Damien. Ours. How can you just hand it to someone else? Damien's face twisted into something ugly. You know what, Carissa? You've always been jealous of Nikki. Ever since you were kids. She got more attention, she got more dates, she got more everything. And you've never gotten over it. He gestured at my sister. This isn't about the reunion. This is about you still competing with her after 30 years. I'm not competing with anyone. I'm asking why my husband is teaching my sister how to be me. Because she's willing to help without making it a federal case. He turned to Nikki with a softened expression. Unlike some people. Nikki reached over and squeezed his arm supportively. It's okay. She doesn't get it. You think this is easy for me? Damien's voice rose suddenly, like he was the one being wronged. I have to go back to these people and lie to their faces all night. I have to pretend my whole life turned out different than it did. But sure, let's focus on how hard this is for you. Let's make it about Carissa's feelings like we always do. I stared at him. You created this situation. You're the one who lied for 10 years. And I'm trying to fix it without blowing up my entire social network. But you can't give me one night. After everything I do around here, you can't give me one single night without making it weird. 1. What exactly do you do around here? The question hung in the air. Damien's jaw tightened, but before he could respond, Nikki jumped in. He supports you emotionally. He's here when you come home from your stressful job. He manages the house while you're working all the time. She said it like she was listing his accomplishments at a job interview. Not everything is about money, Carissa. I looked around at the house I paid for, the furniture I bought, the electricity and water and internet that came out of my account every month. Damien hadn't had a steady job in 3 years. The last time he managed the house, he forgot to pay the water bill and we got a shut-off notice. I already talked to Mom about this, Nikki added casually. She said you'd probably overreact. She thinks it's actually kind of sweet that Damien cared enough about his friend's opinions to keep up the story this long. You talked to our mother about this before I even knew it was happening? I needed advice. She gets it. I don't know why you can't. Damien seized on this immediately. See? Your own mother understands. Your own sister is willing to help. The only person with a problem is you. He paused and tilted his head. What does that tell you? I didn't have an answer. Or I had too many answers and none of them would come out right. Let's just keep practicing, Nikki said, dismissing me entirely. We don't have that much time left. They went back to it like I'd given them permission to continue robbing me in broad daylight. Damien walked Nikki through our first anniversary and the trip we took to the coast, and the time I surprised him at work with lunch. All things that happened to me. All moments I thought belonged to us. At one point I tried to interject again, to point out that the restaurant on our anniversary was French, not Italian, and Damien cut me off. Oh, here we go, he said, pitching his voice high in a cruel imitation of mine. Actually, Damien, that's not exactly right. Actually, Damien, you're telling it wrong. Actually, Damien, let me correct you in front of everyone like I always do. He looked at Nikki and they both laughed at me in my house. I was just trying to help you get the details right, I said quietly. We don't need your help, Nikki said, still smiling from the impression. We've got it handled. Why don't you go do some work or something? Isn't that what you're good at? I told myself to let it go. This was my husband and my sister. They were just stressed about the reunion. None of it meant anything. I was being sensitive. I went upstairs to change and gave myself 5 minutes to calm down. I washed my face, took deep breaths, told myself I was overreacting just like everyone kept saying. I was halfway down the stairs when I heard Nikki giggle. Not her normal laugh, but something softer. Private. I stopped on the landing and looked through the railing, and what I saw made my whole body go cold. Damien had his hand on Nikki's face. His thumb was tracing her cheekbone, and she was leaning into it with her eyes half closed and their faces were inches apart. They were about to kiss. My husband and my sister in my living room in my house. I must have made a sound because they jumped apart like someone fired a gun. Nikki's face went red and Damien's hands flew up and they both started talking at once. It's not what it looks like, Damien said. We were just rehearsing, Nikki said. In case anyone asks about us being affectionate. I stood on the stairs looking down at them, and they looked back up with matching panic, trying very hard to become innocents. Right, I said slowly. Rehearsal. Damien's face relaxed into relief. Exactly. We got carried away practicing. It didn't mean anything. Nikki nodded quickly. We have to look like a real couple. That's literally all it was. I walked downstairs and sat back in my chair and watched them watch me, waiting to see what I would do. And I did nothing. I let them think I bought it. Because I needed time to figure out what was actually happening before I said something I couldn't take back. But I wasn't overreacting anymore. Something was very wrong and I wasn't going to sleep on it. I wasn't going to give them time to align their stories or practice their excuses. Damien first while the panic was still fresh. Then Nikki, alone, without him there to feed her lines. If neither of them cracked, I'd find someone else in his life who'd seen what I was too blind to notice. Someone who owed him nothing. Someone with no reason to protect him. The truth was coming out tonight one way or another. Nikki left an hour later and I followed Damien upstairs without saying a word. He went into the bathroom to brush his teeth like nothing had happened. Like I hadn't just watched him almost kiss my sister. Like this was any other regular night in our marriage. I waited until he came out and then I stepped in front of the bedroom door. Move, he said. No. He blinked at me like I'd spoken another language. In 10 years of marriage, I'd never blocked a door. I'd never stood in his way. And I'd never been anything but accommodating and reasonable and easy to walk around. Carissa, I'm tired. Move. You're not sleeping until you tell me what's going on with you and Nikki. He laughed, but there was no humor in it. We already explained that. It was rehearsal. You said you understood. I lied. I don't understand anything. I don't understand why my husband had his hands on my sister's face. I don't understand why she was leaning into him like she'd done it 100 times before. I don't understand why you two looked more comfortable together than you've looked with me in years. Damien tried to step around me and I moved with him. His jaw tightened. You're being crazy right now. You know that, right? You're acting like a crazy person. Then explain it to me so I stop being crazy. Tell me one thing that makes sense. I already told you. We were practicing looking like a couple. That's literally all it was. Then why did you jump apart like I caught you doing something wrong? If it was just practice, you would have laughed it off. You wouldn't have panicked. He threw his hands up. What do you want me to say? That I'm sleeping with your sister? Is that what you need to hear so you can feel justified in this little meltdown you're having? Are you? The question hung between us. Damien stared at me and I stared back, and for 3 seconds neither of us breathed. I can't believe you'd even ask me that. His voice went quiet and wounded like I was the one who'd hurt him. After all these years together. After everything we've built. You're going to stand there and accuse me of sleeping with Nikki because we got a little too into character during a rehearsal? You didn't answer the question. Because the question is insane. He was yelling now and I didn't flinch. No, Carissa. No, I'm not sleeping with your sister. Happy? Can I go to bed now? He tried to push past me and I grabbed his arm. My fingers dug into his bicep and he stopped moving and looked down at my hand like he couldn't believe I was touching him without permission. Let go of me. Not until you look me in the eyes and tell me there's nothing between you two. He yanked his arm free and his whole face changed. His lip curled up on one side and his eyes went flat and cold, and he looked at me like I was something stuck to the bottom of his shoe. You want to know what there is between us? Relief. That's what. Relief that I get to spend time with someone who doesn't interrogate me every time I breathe. Relief that I get to be around a woman who actually makes me feel good instead of making me feel like a failure every single day. I have never called you a failure. You don't have to. It's in everything you do. The way you sigh when you pay the bills. The way you mention your job every 5 minutes. The way you look at me like I'm a problem you're too tired to solve. He stepped closer and his voice dropped. Nikki doesn't look at me like that. Nikki thinks I'm worth something. Nikki doesn't pay your bills. See? There it is. Everything comes back to money with you. You can't even have a conversation without reminding me that you're the one with the checkbook. I'm reminding you that I'm the one with the checkbook because you seem to have forgotten who funds your life while you spend your days rehearsing romance with my sister. Damien's nostrils flared and his mouth pressed into a thin, hard line. You know what? I'm done. If you can't trust me after 10 years, then maybe we shouldn't be married anymore. The words landed exactly how he meant them to. A threat. A weapon. The nuclear option he knew I'd been avoiding my entire marriage. Is that what you want? I asked. Divorce? I want a wife who doesn't treat me like a suspect. If you can't be that, then yeah. Maybe divorce is exactly what I want. He pushed past me, and this time I let him. He grabbed a pillow and a blanket from the closet and walked out without looking back. I heard him go downstairs. Heard the couch creak as he threw himself onto it. Heard the TV turn on because even in the middle of a fight, he couldn't go 5 minutes without a screen. I stood in our bedroom doorway and realized something important. He hadn't denied it. He'd yelled. He'd deflected. He'd threatened divorce. But he never once looked me in the eyes and said there was nothing between him and Nikki. He couldn't. Because there was. I grabbed my keys and my purse and walked out the front door without telling him where I was going. He didn't ask. He didn't even look up from the TV. Nikki's apartment was 20 minutes away. I knew the route by heart because I'd driven there dozens of times with groceries when she said she couldn't afford food, with furniture when she said her place looked too empty, with a check for her security deposit when she first moved in because she'd blown through her savings on a trip to Cabo with friends. She called me crying 2 years ago, saying she was about to be homeless. I co-signed her lease. I covered her security deposit. I set up automatic transfers for her rent because she said dealing with money stressed her out. 2 years. $24,000. Plus her car insurance. Plus her phone bill. Plus random checks whenever she said she was struggling. I added it up once and stopped because the number made me sick. And the whole time I was funding her life, she was using that freedom to sleep with my husband. Every hour I spent at work to cover her bills was an hour she spent in my house with Damien. I parked in front of her building and took the stairs 2 at a time. It was almost 11 at night and I didn't care. I banged on her door hard enough that her neighbor opened theirs to see what was happening. Nikki, open the door, now. I heard movement inside. Footsteps. Then her voice, high and nervous. Carissa? What are you doing here? Open the door or I'll keep knocking until someone calls the cops. The lock clicked and the door opened 3 inches. Nikki's face appeared in the gap looking pale and scared. It's late. Can we talk tomorrow? No. I pushed the door hard and she stumbled backward as I walked into the apartment I funded. We're talking right now. You can't just barge in here. I pay your rent. I can do whatever I want. I looked around at the furniture I'd helped her pick out. The TV I'd bought her for Christmas. The couch where she probably sat texting my husband while I was at work paying for all of it. How long? Nikki wrapped her arms around herself. How long what? Don't play dumb with me. How long have you been sleeping with Damien? I'm not sleeping with Damien. I told you it was just rehearsal. Why won't you believe me? Because I saw your face when he touched you. I saw how natural it looked. That wasn't acting, Nikki. That was muscle memory. That was something you've done so many times your body did it without thinking. You're imagining things. Am I? Then explain why you know so much about my husband. Explain why you two have inside jokes I've never heard. Explain why he defends you more than he's ever defended me. Nikki's eyes darted toward her phone on the counter, looking for backup, looking for Damien to tell her what to say. He's not coming to save you, I said. I left him on the couch. It's just you and me. Sister to sister. Tell me the truth. There's nothing to tell. Fine. Then tell me this. I stepped closer and watched her step back. What's the birthmark on his left hip shaped like? Nikki's face went white. For 1 second she forgot to lie and I saw the answer in her eyes before she covered it up. I don't know what you're talking about. Yes, you do. You know exactly what I'm talking about because you've seen it. You've touched it. You've been close enough to my husband's body to know things only his wife should know. He showed me a photo once. It was a joke. Damien has never taken a photo of that birthmark in his life. He's self-conscious about it. He barely lets me see it. I laughed and it sounded unhinged even to me. But you know what it looks like because you've been in bed with him. How long, Nikki? How long have you been sleeping with my husband in the apartment I pay for? She didn't answer. She just stood there with her arms wrapped around herself and tears starting to form in her eyes. The same tears she'd used 100 times to get out of trouble. The same performance she'd been running since we were kids. I'm done, I said. Your rent payment stops today. Your car insurance stops today. Everything I've been paying for stops today. You want to take my husband? Fine. But you're going to do it without my money. Carissa, wait. You can't just cut me off. I don't have anywhere to go. Should have thought about that before you decided to destroy my marriage. I walked out and slammed the door behind me. My hands were shaking so hard I could barely hold my keys. I sat in my car for 5 minutes just breathing, just trying to process what I'd confirmed. My husband, my sister, in my house, on my money, behind my back. And they still expected me to stay home while they played happy couple at his reunion. That's when the idea hit me. Damien wanted to bring my sister as his fake wife. Fine. Then I'd bring his brother as my date. Jackson. The one who'd done everything right while Damien floated through life on charm and other people's money. Jackson had started his own business at 25. He owned his house outright. He'd offered Damien a job 3 different times, and Damien had turned him down each time because he said he couldn't work for his brother. The truth was Damien couldn't stand being around someone who made him look bad just by existing. They barely spoke anymore. Jackson came to Christmas and Thanksgiving and that was it. He was always polite to me at family events, and that was enough to convince me to go through with this. I'd walk into that reunion on Jackson's arm and watch Damien's face when he realized his wife showed up with the one person he could never measure up to. I pulled out my phone and found Jackson's number. We'd exchanged contacts years ago but never actually texted. I stared at the screen for a long time before typing. Hi, Jackson. This is Carissa. I know this is random, but I need a favor. A big one. Can we meet tomorrow? Please don't tell Damien I reached out. I hit send before I could talk myself out of it. A minute passed, then 2. I was about to start the car when my phone buzzed. Is everything okay? I typed back. No. That's why I need your help. 3 dots appeared. Then his response came telling me to meet him for coffee tomorrow morning. Jackson met me at the coffee shop the next morning and listened to everything without interrupting once. When I finished, he didn't tell me I was crazy. He didn't make excuses for his brother. He just asked what I needed. And what I needed was simple. Damien had spent 10 years making me feel invisible. He'd spent months sneaking around with my sister while I paid for their lives. Now I was going to make him feel exactly what I felt. Paranoid. Jealous. Desperate for answers he wasn't going to get. Jackson was happy to help. The next morning I was putting on mascara when Damien appeared in the bathroom doorway. You're up early. His eyes moved over my outfit. The nice blouse. The jewelry I never wore anymore. Where are you going? Coffee with Jackson. The name landed like a grenade. His whole body went rigid. Jackson was the one person in the world who made Damien feel like nothing. Their parents had spent 30 years comparing them, and Damien lost every single time. Jackson built a company while Damien couldn't keep a cashier job. Jackson owned his house while Damien lived in mine. Every family dinner reminded him he was the disappointment and he'd hated his brother for it since they were kids. Cancel it. I kept applying mascara. No. I wasn't asking. He stepped into the bathroom and grabbed my phone off the counter before I could stop him. What's his number? I'll cancel it myself. Give me my phone, Damien. Or what? He held it above his head like we were children fighting over a toy. What are you going to do about it? I set down my mascara and looked at him. Really looked at him. This man I'd given 10 years to. This man who couldn't even let me have coffee without throwing a tantrum. I'm going to walk out of this house. I'm going to meet your brother. And when I get back, you're going to give me my phone and apologize for acting like a child. I grabbed my keys off the counter. Keep the phone. I'll get a new one. His arm dropped. Carissa, wait. I didn't wait. Jackson was already at the coffee shop when I arrived. He stood when he saw me and pulled me into a hug that lasted longer than it should have. He smelled expensive, clean, nothing like Damien's cheap cologne that had irritated my nose for a decade. You okay? He asked as we sat down. You look upset. Your brother took my phone hostage because I wanted to have coffee with you. Jackson's jaw tightened. That sounds like him. Does it? Because for 10 years I thought I was married to a reasonable person. Turns out I was married to a toddler who throws fits when he doesn't get his way. He's always been like that. He just hides it well at first. Jackson slid a coffee across the table. I ordered your usual. Hope that's okay. How do you know my usual? You've ordered the same thing at every family gathering for 5 years. Vanilla latte, extra shot, oat milk. He shrugged. I pay attention. Something in my chest cracked open. Damien didn't know my coffee order. We'd been married 10 years and he still asked me every single time like the information wouldn't stick. I told Jackson everything. The proposal story, the almost kiss on the couch, the birthmark slip, the way Damien had been gaslighting me for months while carrying on with my sister right under my nose. By the time I finished, my coffee was cold and my voice was hoarse. I want him to feel what I felt, I said. Paranoid, jealous, going crazy wondering what's happening. How? I need you around. Pick me up for dinners. Text me when he's watching. Make him wonder. Jackson was quiet for a moment. His thumb traced circles on the back of my hand. I'm in, he said. Whatever you need. When I got home 3 hours later, Damien was sitting in the dark living room like a horror movie villain. 3 hours. His voice was flat. You were gone 3 hours. We had a lot to talk about. About what? About me? About how terrible I am? Not everything is about you, Damien. I held out my hand. Phone. He pulled it from his pocket and threw it at me. Actually threw it. I caught it against my chest. There's your precious phone. Check your messages. I'm sure Jackson's been texting you nonstop like the desperate loser he is. The only desperate person in this room is you. I walked past him toward the stairs. I'm taking a shower. Try not to have a meltdown while I'm gone. The first dinner with Jackson was on Friday. I wore the black dress Damien said was too much for a Tuesday. Did my hair the way I used to before I stopped trying. When I came downstairs, Damien stood up so fast his chair fell over. No, absolutely not. Yes, absolutely yes. You're not leaving this house dressed like that to meet my brother. Watch me. He grabbed my arm, hard. Hard enough that I knew there would be bruises tomorrow. I said no. And I said yes. Let go of me. Make me. I looked at his hand on my arm, then at his face. Then I screamed. One loud, sharp scream that echoed through the house and probably reached the neighbors. He let go instantly. What the hell is wrong with you? Nothing. I just wanted to see how fast you'd release me if you thought someone might hear. I smoothed my dress. Now you know. And now I know exactly how to handle you. Jackson's headlights swept across the window. I walked out without looking back. Dinner was incredible. Not the food, though, that was good too. The conversation. The way Jackson asked about my work and actually listened. The way he remembered details from years ago that Damien had never bothered to learn. The way he looked at me like I was someone worth looking at. Friday again? He asked when he dropped me off. Friday again. The second dinner was even better. We closed down the restaurant talking about everything and nothing. He kissed my cheek when he walked me to the door and I felt it for hours afterward. The third dinner was when everything changed. I came home at midnight expecting Damien to be pacing or sulking or throwing things. Instead, I found him on the couch with Nikki curled up against his side. Her shoes were off. Her head was on his shoulder. They were watching a movie like this was completely normal. Oh, hey. Damien didn't even look at me. How was your date? I stood in the doorway trying to process what I was seeing.